Hey there, it's Bill Gassiamis. Welcome to another episode of the Recovery After Stroke podcast. Stroke recovery is never easy, but sometimes the challenges are bigger than anyone can imagine. Imagine being unconscious for 4 months after a stroke, while your family is told not to expect recovery. That's exactly what happened to today's guest, Mark Bragg. A musician, a husband, and a father. Mark's life was saved by a brain shunt, and his story is about resilience, creativity, and the power of family and community. But before we dive in, I want to share something that could help in your own recovery. One of the biggest struggles after stroke is getting the hand working again, and stiffness and the loss of movement and the frustration of not being able to do simple things like holding a cup or writing. That's where the Hansen Rehab Glove by Cerebo comes in. It's a smart glove that helps retrain your brain and hand together right from your home. Whether you're early in recovery or years down the track, it supports neuroplasticity and hand function in a way that's practical and motivating. The glove is available to order right here in Australia and can be shipped internationally too. I love being able to bring solutions like this to my listeners because having the right tools can make a huge difference. You'll hear more about it later in the episode. Now, let's get into my conversation with Mark. Mark Bragg, welcome to the podcast.
Happy to be here.
Happy to have you here, sir. Tell me, what was life like before stroke? What did you do? How did you occupy time?
I'm a musician, and to occupy my time, I barely did anything because as a musician, your time is very flexible.
Okay.
That's not entirely true. I would write songs and record and tour as well. But since the stroke, that's currently not on the table. And performing was my favorite thing. Generally, performing like locally or outside town.
Was that your full-time gig? You performed, you were a musician full-time?
Yeah. Often writing like film scores and stuff like that for like that paid better than writing your own music and selling your own music. But that was the latter was kind of my passion.
So you were fully embedded in all things lyrical, music, notes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, not notes, like not dots.
No, not but 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 the whole thing, from
Yeah,
somebody who doesn't understand music,
absolutely.
you were into the whole entire thing, beginning to end, composing, getting it all finished. I would imagine
Absolutely.
editing it and then working out all the.
Yeah. And being a band leader, that was um, that was a huge part of my gig as well, um, which was great. I had a lovely band.
Something wrong
Uh,
with your eye?
yeah, just sometimes the um, the eyes, like I get watery eyes,
Yeah.
but that's about it.
Okay. Uh, so then, how old were you when the stroke happened?
48.
And would you
But then,
say there was anything in your awareness that may have enabled you to see that things were not right, that there was something wrong?
oh yeah, yeah. No, I from all my seizures for the past few years, I was aware for all of them, and I was aware of what was happening in the stroke itself. Um, I was certainly aware that that was happening. I would lose consciousness at some point, but generally, I always knew something was going on when either of these events took place.
Were seizures something that happened to you, generally speaking, on a regular basis?
The seizures were somewhat monthly at one point, um, but not really on a regular basis. But the stroke clearly was not on a regular basis.
Yeah.
That was something that happened. when my after my brain bleed.
When was the first time you had a seizure that you
Um,
know about?
that's notes here. It was June 2019, and that's when they discovered my AVM because I was playing with my dog, and then I felt myself, something not right, and then I collapsed and woke up in hospital, and that was when I got my first scan, and that's when they discovered the AVM. And so at this point, that was my first seizure. So we did some consulting with my um, neurologist, and um, I decided I wanted this AVM out any way possible. So what we decided to do was go to Sunnybrook in that's a hospital in Canada. So we went up there for a gamma knife um, radiation treatment.
And was that successful?
Yes and no. It seemed like it seemed at the time that the um, that after a year or so uh, away, that it was looking like that the AVM was stable, but hadn't shrunk very much. So the next course of action would have been steroids, but that didn't show any decline in the AVM. So um, after that, we had um, I went into for hyperbaric treatments, which um, is used to treat um, divers with the bends, for example, and I think it speeds up re recovering from small tissue damage. So that's as far as I know about it. And there was all when we were deciding to do that, there was always a risk of radiation necrosis, which would be kind of scar tissue from the radiation. But things were looking good until about a year later. I was seizure free for about a year, but then another seizure happened, which was the result of that scar tissue. And from then on, there had been like various, you know, seizures, and like maybe around monthly, and then and I was always at risk for a brain bleed at that point because of the AVM. So not too long ago, I had my last CD release party, and 2 days after that is when I had my stroke,
Oh,
and it's been recovery since then.
what year was that?
Pardon me?
Which year was that?
Um, a second. You say 93, babe? 23, sorry. That was in 23,
Okay.
2023.
So
Yeah,
approximately 2 years ago.
yes.
The Did you know the seizures were coming on? Did you have a feeling that the seizure was about to happen, or did they just catch you unawares?
Um, they'd catch me unawares, but since I was so conscious through the whole business, it would just start happening, and I had no control. And I could still, I can see myself doing the kind of shaking that would be, and I would be even be conscious throughout the seizure itself. I'd be on the ground, like shaking. I'd feel my legs start to shake and look down, and I'd be like, when I'm having a seizure. Um, like I might be trying to call out for some help, but the words wouldn't come out, the ones that I'd hoped for. So by after that point, it was kind of game on, and then I was deep into it, and it was terrifying.
Terrifying, painful as well.
No, no pain, just just fear, because you couldn't control anything, and you didn't know when or if you were going to come out of it because um, you didn't have control of your body, and so how could you know? You can't feel yourself. Um, like you got no sense of whether or not it's going to come out. All you can do is try to convince yourself of the last time was I came out of it after a while, but that doesn't mean that this time was going to be the same. So you had no way of knowing whether it would be the same.
Did they have like a rough duration?
Yeah, I believe it was between 3 minutes and 5 minutes.
Okay.
But my first one, that the one that took me into the hospital, I believe, was certainly longer than that.
We'll be back in just a moment with more of Mark's remarkable story, from mourning the loss of his singing voice to rebuilding music and meaning in new ways. But first, I want to tell you more about the Hanson Rehab Glove by Sorebo. One of the toughest parts of recovery is when your hand just won't cooperate. The glove is designed to solve that problem, gently assisting your hand to open and close, helping your brain reconnect with those movements. Over time, it supports neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewrite itself after stroke. If you've been stuck in your recovery and waiting for something to help at home, this might be it. The glove is available here in Australia and can also be shipped internationally. Check out the links in the episode description or head to banksiatech.com.au for more details. Now, back to Mark. Okay. And then after the seizure passes, do you bounce back? Is there a
Yeah,
recovery? How does that work?
yeah. Yeah, no, I bounced back, but I'm quite fatigued after the seizure and the following day. Mostly
Mhm.
just fatigue.
And in 2019,
Yeah.
that's taking uh, that's taken quite a chunk up of your, well, of your time, I imagine, and it's interfering with the passion and the work that you do, which is your band and your daily life. Did it start to impact daily life regularly?
The seizures, you mean?
Yeah.
Um, Not so much. Um, my daily life kind of went on because the seizures wouldn't take. Um, it was like I said, it was only. It would take. They would only last about 3 minutes, and there would be around a day of recovery. I'd never had a seizure on stage or anything like that.
Uh-huh. You
But yes, it just occurred to me that the severe anxiety would certainly take a lot of um, like it made like everything almost next to impossible. I had a what was called um, dissociation from the severe anxiety, which, as far as I understand it, to be a protective mechanism if for severe. Have you heard of that before yourself?
dissociation?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's my understanding of it is in extreme cases, people are not sort of attached to reality.
that's right. That's right. So, in terms of my understanding of it, based on talking to my psychologist, it's almost like um, protective mechanism from bygone days when we were caveman, for example, and we were being eaten by a lion, for example, not like not being chased by a lion, but being fucking eaten by the lion, and and then you can't be present for that. That's not possible. So that's the way I understood it to be. And also, I suspect shell shock if you're in like around bombs and stuff and that kind of culture. I certainly know that for me, the dissociation would come on like every morning. I wake up and think that and feeling okay, and then I tell myself, maybe it's not going to come on today because it's just a mental thing. And then I go downstairs to put my shoes on, and then I realize that, oh, here we go. The shoes are on, and I'm gonna open the door, and then gonna be this again. So I open the door, and I had that exact same feeling that you described. Um, but I've had to force myself to get through it, like to keep walking outdoors. And by this point, I came back to when I came back home, it was still happening. And the funny thing about it is that it would continue up until myself and my wife picked out a touching movie to watch, like one that makes you cry, but not
Hmm.
from sadness. It had to be touching. So for some reason, that connected me back to myself. And then when I got back to bed, things were fine by then.
Wow, man. That is such a cool hack that you even worked it out. How did you work out that the best medicine here is a soppy rom-com?
It was bizarre. Yes, it was a lot of Tom Hanks during those couple of months.
That's enough to make anyone cry.
Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing.
I like it. Okay. So you didn't watch Saving Private Ryan, for example.
No,
Okay.
I probably wouldn't have watched that anyway.
Yeah. Okay, good. I understand. So so what? Forrest Gump then.
Yeah, yes, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, I can manage Forrest Gump movies,
Yeah,
type of movies. That'd be awesome. Um, wow, man. So there's a lot going on there. You're
yeah,
having a physical experience, say,
yeah,
back then, you could feel the actual the seizure.
yeah,
Then when you're in the seizure, you
yeah,
have an awareness that you're
yeah,
in a seizure and it's happening
yeah,
and you're out of control of your
yeah,
body, but you're in
yeah,
control of your mind, your thoughts,
yeah,
and they're
yeah,
kind of going, this could last forever. We don't know how long we're going to be here for. Panic, be
yeah,
afraid, be all these things, which is very normal.
yeah,
And then also after that, then you have to wake up in the morning and then you have to go to your day and then you have to overcome the thought of this might happen again in my
not the
day.
seizure. I, oh, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, not the seizure. You
Yeah,
weren't concerned about the seizure. You're concerned about what going to happen again or
the dissociation feeling.
ah
Like I'd be walking out the door concerned that that would happen.
the
And then
dissociation.
it would happen because I made it happen myself,
So,
based on it being a mental disorder.
but it's sort of like instinctive at the same time because you want to protect yourself from the lion.
Yeah, pretty much. Because I was afraid that that it could happen at any point. So you're trying to protect yourself from that.
Right. Okay. So you're trying to protect yourself or your mind because it seems like you're you're protecting the way you're thinking about that. It feels like you're protecting the way you're you're observing that somehow.
Yeah, I really have no um, idea um, that it was like protecting while it was happening until it was explained to me by my psychologist, and
Yeah.
she recommended that, or she suggested that that would be kind of a defense mechanism for the kind of things I was talking about.
Yeah. So the
But yes, it felt like a war zone when I was outside because I could be attacked by my body at any second.
okay, understood.
Yeah.
Right. So on the day of the stroke,
Yeah.
was it a normal day? You're just going about business as per
Yeah.
normal. And then what happened?
Then I believe I was home with my kid at that very time, and I started to feel a very strange feeling come over me, and it wasn't. It felt like it was a seizure, but it wasn't. So this was something very different. And um, so I had enough wherewithal to call my wife when this was happening. And she came home to see the like what I was at basically, because I was afraid. But that was, I kind of went out then because that was the brain bleed. That was when it happened. So I believe we called an ambulance at that point and went to the hospital, and then they discovered that that was the case. So then they had to operate.
Okay. So you went into operate. Did they go in to remove the blood vessel, the faulty blood vessel, the AVM? Is that what they went to do?
Just give me 1 second. My wife is
Your
giving me some.
assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah. They drain the blood from your
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So then it was an EV drain that was kind of installed in my brain to drain out the blood.
scars right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the scar from my EV drain.
Yeah.
It's part of my sexy bald head. So that's yeah, that's one of my scars. One
Yeah.
of my proud scars.
That's a really well-shaped head.
Oh my God, that's why. That's why I get away with all this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can see it from now. Those scars are best kind, but my shunt itself is magic.
Yeah. So you're in hospital, they're draining the blood, and
Yeah.
are you, other than the initial bleed, the issues that obviously blood in your head causes and the drain that they put on there, how long is the hospital stay? What is the prognosis? What happens after the bleed in the brain?
My prognosis was not good. I was my family was told not to expect a recovery, and that I was unconscious for about 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that a medical induced coma or was it a Mark Bragg induced coma?
It was a Mark Bragg induced coma.
Wow, man. So then how do you come out of that? What happens at the 4 month mark that makes you wake up?
The third shunt took, like the first two, they could tell, or sorry, they became infected. But I was out of it anyway. But somehow my wife noticed that I still wasn't myself. It was kind of magic. Like I was completely fucked up, but even while unconscious, the she could tell that at that point that it wasn't me. So this was the first time my shunt became infected. So then the second one also became infected, and the third one like it worked.
Okay. So the idea of the shunt is to do what? What is it meant to do?
To drain the blood from, well, it's saying,
It keeps your cerebral spinal fluid.
yeah, it keeps things flowing. It basically sends it down to your arse as opposed to getting caught up there.
Okay.
So
It allows the cerebrospinal fluid to continue to flow and not stay in the head, therefore causing additional pressure
yes,
and putting your brain at risk.
yeah,
Okay. So after surgery, the solution is to install a shunt, and then
yeah,
that shunt doesn't take, it gets infected. In that
yeah,
time, even though you're out cold, your wife
yeah,
is so great, she's so amazing that she noticed that even in your comatose state, you were not
yes,
yourself.
yeah. Like having an advocate is magic.
You were awake
And,
on enough.
and you think you are good. Like, oh my God, that is
I'm
such,
good.
you think,
Not
you
as
think,
good as her.
no chance. And then it happens a second time. She again,
Yeah,
and the doctors and everybody notices that the second shunt that they
yeah,
put in is not taking and is also infected. And I imagine during infection, that's really impacting you negatively personally, your
Yeah,
body, your brain, your whole system is
absolutely.
coping with all of the
Yeah.
trauma plus the infection.
Mm. Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Man. And then the third shunt takes.
Yeah, that's correct.
Wow. Isn't it amazing that we are even here talking?
It is. I was not meant to be here talking. No way.
I would say you were meant to be here talking.
Ha! If you say so.
Yeah, because all of the stuff they had to go through to get you over the line, these
Yeah,
people who you've never met before, the
yeah,
and not even the doctors and the medical guys, like even the person who invented the shunt, like
yeah.
even that person, what the hell is
Yeah,
that? Who does
I
that?
know. I never thought about that myself, but you're right.
Let's just put something in the guy's head and make it help things flow. Why not? Just
Yeah.
open it up, put it
Ha!
in there. It is just
Yeah,
fascinating to me. I love that idea. I love the fact that that is even possible, and
yeah.
all these things
Same.
conspired to get you here.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a great. Um, it's a great outcome. I really love it. So then, when you wake up after 4 months, do you have first thoughts? Do you have any idea what's going on, what happened, what you've been through?
It was it's funnily enough, I was still messed up, but I had there were people coming and going, uh, and but there was an old friend of mine who said something like the first thing that I remember and feeling like I was going to be okay was this friend of mine saying something ridiculous about an old girlfriend of his that he used to harp on, and then and I used to always give him piss over it, and then he says so again, and then I was like, "Will you stop fucking talking about um, Jane Scott, for example?" And and then uh, we started laughing at it, and at that point, I kind of realized that I was going to be okay.
Uh-huh.
So I was still there.
Yeah. Um, how long did it take for you to get back on your feet? Because I imagine if you're lying still in a bed for 4 months, everything
Yeah,
gets weak. The muscles stop working, and there's
they
a lot of
did.
rehab.
And there's a lot of trying to get the brain's connection back to your um, ligaments, like trying to get like I noticed the first thing I noticed like as I was coming back, like his hands like scratching on the couch, and then somehow I managed to have somewhat of control over that. So um, that was um, after rehab when I was home. Um, of course, there was a lot of gains made in rehab as well, um, which were great. Like we did tons of work in rehab about mostly work on my left side, which was impacted more so than my right. But the physios there were amazing. So you can add those to your list of incredible people that get me here,
It's a
like the
team.
physios and the PC, well, not PC, sorry, the OTs and all that stuff. That was also a huge part of the rehab and the recovery.
The team, the teams that get together to make somebody go back home is just unbelievable. Um,
It is.
your your speech was also affected.
My what, sorry?
Your speech?
Yes, it was. That's getting a lot better as the more I use it. And funnily enough, it can almost sometimes get downright normal unless I'm uh, trying to talk loud or interject myself in a conversation, which I always had the skill to do with no problem at all. But now, as I talk louder, it kind of comes back a little bit. And if I'm talking, you might even notice now that it becomes more halted because I'm concentrating on it, which is a strange brain thing. The
So
halting.
when you're paying attention to it, it kind of gets a little more labored, but when you're not aware of it, it flows better.
Want to hear something hilarious that I learned in speech therapy?
Yeah.
It was one of the things we were taught was that if you're having trouble with your words, picture them on a string and pretend make them one word. So one of the first videos I made when I got home was like one of the things I stumbled over was for some reason I was saying all of this eggy shit when I was cooking something, and so what I did was I pictured it as one word, all this eggy shit. So I practiced that as one word, all this eggy shit, and then that one came back to me. So anytime when I was going around chatting with people and I'd get those halted things happening, I stopped try to picture them as one word and be able to somewhat get it together. Like just say I stumbled over that, for example. Somewhat get it together. Somewhat get it together. Somewhat get it together. Like you might even hear that change as it goes.
Mhm.
Change as it goes. You might even hear that change as it goes. Change as it goes. So I just picture them as one word. It's fascinating.
It is fascinating. How do you, who worked that out? How do you work that out?
I kind of, in some ways, it was a speech therapist who had who demonstrated these kind of words on a string kind of thing. But it was when I got out of that therapy, I realized what she meant by that. And then when I started to interpret the meaning to be create one word out of a bunch of ones that you stumbled over, create one word over a bunch you stumbled
I love it.
over a bunch you stumbled over. So I practiced them every time it would happen. And so I was able to interpret that words on a string and the kind of graphic she gave me, that's what she really meant, and to make it work for myself.
Profound. Amazing.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that that hack, that way to solve that little problem, right? It's just
yeah, it did.
such a cool hack. You seem a really upbeat kind of guy, but it, this was really a tough time. Was there any moments where you thought, "Oh, this is really terrible. I don't want to be in this situation. I want my old life back." Did you have moments like that?
Yes and no. I kind of never lost my like I didn't change at all, but I'd certainly have hard moments where I felt like I didn't like it was hard to be this way. But by and large, I was helped to I hit acceptance. Not It didn't take me as long as some might because I had had I went through all of that stuff with the dissociation and stuff. Had therapy through that, and I learned all those skills prior to the brain bleed. So I was able to use those skills after the brain bleed, and there was certainly a mourning process for the functionality that you have lost.
Mhm.
But that um, after you mourn it, it'll turn to acceptance, which I did, and I was able to kind of enjoy certain aspects of it, like the putting out videos of my gains and stuff like that, and because I'm a little bit performative anyway,
Mhm.
as was my career, so I did enjoy sharing videos about my rehab, and people, I think people would always share that it was helpful for them. Like if I'm taking a video of like me kind of trying to dance, for example, I get messages on Facebook about you just inspired this 90-year-old woman to get up and dance for the first time in a long time. So
Wow.
I'd get a lot of that kind of feedback.
Wow, man. Um, it's interesting to note what you just said about your crazy need, desire to perform in any way possible.
Sure. It's not
Turned,
exactly like that, but by all means,
yeah,
describe it that way.
but that is very um, that's very selfish, selfless. That's about you more than
Sure.
anything.
Yeah.
However, in that moment, when you make it about you and you turn it into a
Yeah.
performance, you involve the other person.
Yes.
But then what also happens is you inspire people you
Yeah.
didn't know you were going to inspire. It is
Yeah.
the classic musical experience. I go to a gig, um,
Yeah.
you're performing, you want to entertain,
Yeah.
you want to perform, you want to do you want to express
Yeah.
yourself in this way on stage, and then I get I somehow become part of the act. I couldn't be part of the act on the stage. It wouldn't work. If I turned up to a gig and stood on the stage, I wouldn't be able to create the loop that needs to occur for the
Yes.
entertainer and the audience to interact the
Uh,
way that we do.
It's huge.
And you're doing that somehow is seen by somebody who is 90 years old and thinks that I just needed to see Mark doing his stuff for me to feel inspired to do my own stuff. Like it's very interesting that that
Yeah.
happens.
I find it interesting. Um, it's it's a bummer for me only mostly in the sense that it's not a live audience because you don't get that same kind of energy.
Mhm.
But in a way, saying that is kind of foolish. Like I certainly wouldn't want to go out and perform my recovery because that's not that's not what I do. But but it's yeah, it's kind of silly. But I do know what you're saying, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's not about performing your recovery. It's just about performing in
Yeah,
whatever way you can. And therefore,
yeah,
it's all tied into your recovery just
yeah,
because you're performing in your current, with your current ability.
yeah,
And then because people know your story,
yeah,
it encourages another person to take a recovery of their own in some way,
yeah,
a little way, even if it's not a stroke recovery, but say it's
yeah,
just an old person's steady decline to get up
yeah,
that
yeah,
and move at 90 after whatever they've been through. That's a
yeah,
huge step.
yeah. No, I appreciated all the feedback I got with from that stuff for sure.
Um,
I didn't set out to inspire by any means. It was just kind of a uh, a random thing that people seem to share with or want to share with me.
as an entertainer, what do you set out to achieve actually? So my son, I've noticed my son, I've followed my son discover guitar and then
Yeah,
go on to play in bands and perform and do all that kind of stuff. I've never asked him this question, but I think I will. He's 29. I'm going to ask him next time I see him. But what do you set out to achieve when you pick up an instrument and then find yourself on a stage? What's the purpose of it?
for me, mostly in terms of songs, I write fiction. Um, it's kind of narrative songwriting as opposed to confessional. So I want to get up on stage and kind of relay or evoke the feeling of kind of characters from that song. Not it's not like acting per se, but it's like the energy that comes from that story is I want to try to do it justice. So there's a whole lot of bombing around stage, screaming, and like it's generally a high impact show, and um, so it's quite fun in that way. So a lot of this material, and I do intend to make another album. It won't look like that because that kind of show is kind of pre-stroke show. I do write kind of softer material as well, and I'll likely be focusing on that going forward. Another strange thing that happened about this stroke, I I never ever expected to lose my singing voice because you can keep that up into your 80s. But like I learned about vocal tremor, so that kind of messed it up a lot. Let me just demonstrate. So it's E's and it's A. Isn't that weird? So I can't sing my E's and my A's
Uh-huh.
anymore. It's totally weird. And
So
I was very disappointed about that. Not even disappointed, but I kind of had to mourn the loss of my musicality. It wasn't just singing; it was also being able to play piano and guitar. That said, with the work I've been doing, that's starting to come back to some degree. But I found it really strange that that to lose that type my singing.
mm, you have to recruit some other vowels into your notes so that
Yeah.
you can you do a track that excludes A's and E's?
Yeah. Well, I thought about that, but I don't think it's going to be necessary. I think if I lower the pitch from some of these songs, I might be able to work around it.
You might be able to sort
I
of
might be able to present it in a way with the tools that I have.
that
It won't be
works.
the same, but it'll work.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you say that you want to evoke a feeling in
Yeah.
your audience, and what you're doing is um, you're using your voice, you're using your body, you're using movement, you're using the whole lot, and and then you get people like Adele
Yeah.
who just stands on the stage and just blows everyone
Yeah.
everyone's mind, body, and soul by singing the way that she sings without.
Yeah.
But but now that I'm thinking about it, she is also using her body. She's
Yeah.
also
No doubt.
taking doing almost exactly what you're doing. It just
Yeah.
looks different because
Yeah.
it seems like it's more stable, not so.
Yeah. It's different material,
Yeah,
sure.
right.
Her her material likely calls for the kind of vibe that you just described.
Yeah. And it's, I imagine once you do that once, the first time in your life, when you nail it, that first time in your life, you know what it feels like to have achieved that with your audience, and then that's it. You're forever.
I lost my mind. There
Yeah.
was no turning back. I lost it. It was so amazing
Yeah. And
in
that's
that little bar in Newfoundland.
yeah,
That was it.
you know where you were, you know when it was, you know what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
100%.
So your wife is now your personal assistant, helping you remember things that you need to know to share in the interview, for example, that we're having right now. Um, was were there other people that came to your rescue, that helped you out, that supported you, kind of overcome this as well as your wife?
Let's talk about my parents.
Ah,
They're nuts, like in terms of the amount of support they gave. They're both 70 plus, and now they're taking care of their 40 plus year old son while raising um, his brother who had autism. So they are incredible. My my dad is here every evening doing the physical workouts, and my mother is here quite often to for sleepovers. So if my wife needs to get a night out, which she does quite often, because I'm up to piss about 20 times a night, so she doesn't get any sleep. So
Uh-huh.
once a week, she's able to get some sleep, and my mom comes down for that,
Uh-huh.
and she's there. She's on hand generally for most anything.
I love that you guys have worked that out, that it's really important for your
Yeah,
wife to get out of the house.
yeah, it certainly is. She also swims in the ocean, um, like all through the year. So it's ridiculous. Like the
In
freeze
Canada?
in North Atlantic,
What?
she's not. Yeah,
How cold does it get?
um, -3.
Oh my God.
Isn't that something?
How long can she
But
swim in the water for?
maybe about 5 minutes
That's when it's that cold.
when it's that cold, but longer if it's not.
Wow, that's nuts. Congratulations.
But she comes back. Um, Bill says congratulations, Carrie.
Well,
Bill says congratulations. Um, but yes, she comes back a different woman. So it's something I encourage very greatly.
It's therapeutic in many ways for a lot of people.
Yeah,
I
that's what
couldn't,
they say. I won't be doing it.
I won't be doing it either. I couldn't imagine anything worse. Just
No.
forget about it. If
Yeah,
I get stuck in the wilderness, I want it to be hot and I want to die of dehydration, not the cold. I don't want it to be I don't want to get stuck in a an ice cap on some mountain that thaws out in 1,000 years and they find my crinkly body. I don't want to be that guy.
I want to be floated out on an ice pan so that I go that way. Either that or one of the other very fast ways and non-magical, non-romantic ways to die. I'll take
Yeah.
one of those.
Just switch the light off. I'm
Yeah,
just thinking about that, and it really does evoke pain and suffering when I think about the cold and being in the cold. I just
yeah,
absolutely hate it. It's cold here in Melbourne at the moment, and it gets down to about uh, overnight 4 or 5 degrees Celsius. So
yeah,
not quite freezing, but and some mornings, might get down to zero and I just can't get going. Like it just takes ages for me to warm up and get going. And my left side gets even colder. And
yeah.
I feel it at night. The entire rest of my body is warm and normal and calm and relaxed. But my left side, which is my affected side, uh,
Yeah.
just feels colder, even though the heater is on, even though it's set at a temperature that's extremely comfortable inside the house. My left side still gets cold. So um,
Do
I
you
would,
think it's the blood flow?
no, it
It's
doesn't
not.
seem, no, it's not purple or anything. It's not a different color. It's just
Yeah,
colder. I don't know. I
yeah,
don't get it. Nobody's been able to explain it. I'm not expecting them to, but yeah,
no,
it's a bit strange. So I take my hat off to people who do those cold plunges, that are
yeah,
becoming popular now.
yeah.
And Wim Hof, how he's made millions telling people to go into cold bathtubs and
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff. I'm like,
Sure.
whatever, man. That's not for me. I can't do it, but
No, no,
I appreciate other people doing it. Take my hat off
yeah,
to them. Um, so your dad comes every night to take you through your rehab.
yeah. He had he used to go to the Miller Center, watch what they were doing, take notes, and then he'd start. Once I got discharged, he started showing up every night to repeat or to interpret those notes.
Yeah. So your
The
mum had,
funniest, go
go,
ahead.
go ahead.
Funniest story about the first time we set up to do that is he set up um, the first time I climbed the stairs. um, in my house, he had rigged up a pulley system, much like the one that you have if you were painting on a roof.
Hmm.
And he hooked all that stuff up and strapped me in and had one spotter. And then I made it up to the top of the stairs on these pulleys for safety. And it was just way too hilarious. But it was also exhilarating at the same time because I made it up those steps. But you know, moving forward, we were able to repeat that stuff without a need for all that stuff. But it was pretty incredible.
Your mum and dad been looking after your autistic brother. Is your brother able to be independent in any way?
No,
Okay. So they've been solving problems, difficult problems for a long time anyway. They know all about it.
they're not technically looking after him right now because he has caregivers,
Yeah.
and but they'll still like to ensure his quality of life.
Mm.
They'll still take him out on outings, like to do things that he loves to do, like riding bikes and going to like hit their um, out of town cabin um, and giving him meaningful tasks like moving rocks and stuff like that.
Mhm.
That's pretty. That's pretty. Like hats off to them. That's amazing. So fortunately, we both basically had an amazing upbringing, and we're lucky to have done so. And now we're still two little kids being looked after by our parents as adults, and they're way seniors.
Yeah. It's just
It is
amazing. That's
hilarious.
brilliant. That's so good that they're able to be able to perform that function, to be able to do
Yeah,
it at
yeah,
their in their older age. There'll come a time where they'll need to step back more and more, but
of course. Yeah.
wow, wow, what a job they've done
Mm.
so far. Um, I remember my parents as well. I was 37. They were in their 70s, early 70s when I went through my first, second, and third bleed, and they were just all over it. They were just rallying around and doing all the things to do. Luckily, we live close to each other. Do you
No,
live close to your parents as well?
no.
Yeah,
Well, yes, it's just like
15 minutes.
if, listen to this one. Kettling all the time. 15-minute drive.
Okay, that is
So
close.
yeah.
Okay. Should I believe anything you've said so far?
Mostly.
Yeah, because you're very convincing, even if they were all lies that you've said so far. It's all convincing, so I'm good. I'm good with that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Um, so, what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced? Some of the biggest things that tested Mark Bragg, that really kind of went
Yeah.
after you.
I think I didn't have a ton of anxiety per se.
Uh,
I'm not quite sure if it's because of the skills or if it's because of the drugs. Like who knows? But hopefully it's the skills. I'm talking about post bleed now, but the like prior bleed, it certainly would have been that dissociation, which I've described already. But post bleed, there was occasional moments that were certainly emotional when um, when the healing um, would pause or when it would slow down, and um, coming to the realization that your music career as it was is gone, but it might be back in some way, shape, or form. Well, it certainly will be, but that was kind of an emotional thing to deal with. But I do believe that in a lot of ways I'm luckier than most because I've had a lot of support. I don't know. I'm quite sure there's people out there who've experienced similar things, who don't have the same level of support that I do, the support network, which I think that would be quite hard. But I've been very well taken care of by my family and the medical professionals. So I've gone on. What was your question again? I've gone
Yeah.
on a tangent.
No, that's okay. It was what were the things that tested you the most? You answered that,
Tested.
and then you kind of gave me a reason
Yeah,
uh, why you've been
yeah,
able to get through that. The
yeah,
and the people who have been through something a little harder or had less support, etc., also report finding ways to get through, finding ways to overcome. Um,
yeah,
and even though they may not have that type of support that you mentioned with regards to the people that were around you, they were still
yeah,
able to access somebody who stepped up for them, or they were still able to make meaningful relationships with people that turned up out of nowhere. That's some of the really cool things you hear. Some stroke survivors who don't have the type of family support that we might have experienced will say that out of nowhere came people that they never thought would or expected, with food, with can I help take you to one of your appointments or whatever.
yeah,
So you do see these amazing things occur and people step up when you least expect them.
yeah.
And
Gotcha.
it just um, and it just says a lot about community, right? Being
Yeah,
somewhere where you have uh, embedded yourself and
yeah,
you get to know people and people get to know who you are and get to see you. And as a result of that, that creates an opportunity for people to step up out of their usual routine and do something for somebody else. It inspires that.
yes. I should also note that in my music community, they organized a fundraiser for me with three sold out shows, and they were all people performing music from my catalog. And I was in the hospital watching the live stream on my laptop, and that was pretty magical too.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be amazing. That would be so inspiring and also create a lot of hope. You're in hospital and all these people are rallying together for you.
yeah,
That would have been a real motivator.
yeah.
How has psychological counseling helped you? I've been to counseling from the age of about 27, 28, and I still go. How has it
Yeah.
helped you?
Mostly skills, how to observe your thoughts and respond to them as opposed to react. Those were the biggest takeaways, and um, it takes a lot of practice and learning that you have to practice that in order to use those skills. That was huge for me.
Yeah. How long have you been going to counseling?
Like 4 years or something, roughly 4 years.
Okay, so the first time you started to encounter some of the challenges that you've been through.
Exactly.
Okay. And was that essential to help guide you through this difficult time?
It was essential.
What does the counselor offer that your spouse doesn't?
Well, she's professional,
Yeah.
so that it's nice to have a professional to talk to about your you know what's you know about and funnily enough, this particular counselor that I have is specializes in medical trauma,
Ah,
so she really knows what she's talking about when we're talking about medical related, traumatic events.
yeah. I love that. And your wife is not, it's not her expertise.
Pardon me?
So, and that's not your wife's expertise. I'm trying to paint the picture as to why it's necessary to see a counselor, as opposed to try and get all of that from a spouse, because our spouse is my wife. She had no idea
Yeah,
what stroke was when I went through it. She had no idea how to care for somebody. She had none of that stuff. We had never done that. Caring for kids is completely different to caring for your incapacitated adult husband, and 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 then if I had to lay on her all of the psychological stuff as well, it would have been a massive burden for her to have to shoulder and to try and navigate, because she didn't have the skills, right? And I
yeah,
found that the counselor for me was able to do the same kind of thing, is give me tools and skills and help me have a
yeah,
perspective that I wasn't able to have in the home, you know, while we're all going through it. Um, Taken out of the home in her office or in her practice, um, she's able to allow me to observe our situation and have a greater, more broader perspective than one that was narrow.
yeah. I like having my wife be my wife as much as I can, um, and caregivers and medical professionals to provide that kind of care. I'd sooner, I mean, because obviously this kind of injury impacts your marriage in a lot of ways because you need um, like a lot of a different type of care and a lot more care. And then you're also not able to do a lot of things that you would have been able to, that may have been your responsibility before, uh, before the medical event. So as much as I can, I mean, this can't always be the case, but as much as I can, I try to separate the kind of professional care I got from anything going on at home. Because I'd rather be a husband than a problem as much as possible.
Yeah, I totally relate to that. You'd rather be in your normal interaction with your wife in the house, for
Yeah,
example, and then outsource the medical stuff to the medics, the
yeah,
psychological stuff to the psychology people, and so on, so that everyone has the task that's specific to their capabilities and skills.
yeah. There's certainly a lot of pull over or crossover
Yeah,
too, but by and large, exactly what you said.
yeah. And the crossover is necessary. There's no way you can
Yeah,
navigate stroke at home with your wife without talking the medical stuff, or without needing some kind of little support or intervention or whatever that's
yeah.
medically related. There's no way you can do that, but I totally get it. So how how mobile are you these days with your affected side? Are you up and about?
Uh, yeah, somewhat. It's getting better all the time. I haven't touched a wheelchair in ages, which has been pretty great. I've um, I've somewhat graduated to a cane from the walker, and then part of my exercise routine is hobbling around on my 2 feet with no devices, and that's so fun. It's just like you're a little toddler again, and like I used to call it like my little like dad's little duckling because of the foolish walk you do while you're learning how to walk again. There's, I was so surprised that, well, not surprised actually, but I found it hilarious when I did an Instagram video of me and my friend walking around to 500 miles by the Proclaimers. I would walk 500 miles, like that song, and that was great fun in and of itself. But then, if you watch it, you get the algorithm gives you suggestions to search for more funny baby videos. I couldn't believe it. That was way too good.
So,
Or dancing videos because we were goofing around, dancing in essence, and I looked like a toddler. So I found that one hilarious, but it was great.
So you're learning how to walk all over again,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's improving
it is. Yeah,
and
improving on time.
improving a lot. And you've been
Yeah,
months out of a wheelchair, and you started from the wheelchair onto the walker, and now onto a cane.
yeah, as much as I can.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like if I'm waking up in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
I'll need the walker first, until, well, actually, I'm using basically nothing because I'm essentially in bed the first half of the day because of all the drugs I have to take. But
Uh-huh.
that by and large, that like drugs aside, um, I've that is kind of the graduation, like the ones you mentioned,
Yeah.
like walker, cane, and then a wheelchair, walker, cane, and then independently walking.
Yeah. Very cool. Tell me about all the drugs that you take. What for? How many of them are there? And why does it take so long to have the whole to go through the routine?
I can't remember the amount, but the cocktail is mostly anti-seizure meds, and they seem to be working because I haven't had a seizure in little over a year, which is huge for me, but um, kind of at the expense of um, fatigue, like throughout the first half of my day.
Mm.
But that said, where seizures beget seizures, like no seizures, also the opposite is also true. So if I go a year without a seizure, it might my neuro might deem it safe to be to slowly start weaning me off some of the pills and maybe some of the pills that create this kind of fatigue.
Okay. So the blood vessel, the AVM, has that been sorted now? Because when you were in hospital, they had the
Oh,
shunt in your head. Is the blood vessel after the radiotherapy gone, or is it still there?
1 second. Charger.
Yeah.
Are you running out of battery?
Yeah, I'm just gonna get that sorted out here.
Yeah, you go ahead and talk and I'll get it sorted, Mark.
Okay. Yeah, she's gonna sort it out behind the scenes. Sorry, what was the question about the AVM?
Yeah, so the actual AVM, is it still there? Has it been resolved? Is it being gotten rid of after the radiotherapy?
Um, we haven't looked at it in a while, but it is still there. And after having one bleed, it actually puts you at more risk for a second. But that's all. That's all you can do about it.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
not safe.
Yeah, it's not safe to do anything further. So basically, it's just this is the way um, I'm living right now. It's um, it's a risk. There's also a risk to cross the street. So there's so many ways to look at that stuff.
absolutely. And it's probably in a spot that's too hard to get to, or too hard to do anything about. So it's better
Large,
to,
too large, I think.
okay. So it's better to leave it there and monitor
Yeah,
it rather than try and go in and take it out and potentially make
yeah,
things worse.
yeah,
Yeah, understood. Do you see the stroke as something that has shaped you in a meaningful way?
yeah.
How so?
It had. Um, it changed my relationships a lot with my loved ones, and that's quite meaningful for sure. And of course, it taught me a lot of things. It also kind of puts you, makes you a part of another community um, that, like those with epilepsy or stroke survivors or almost any kind of things like that. And especially meaningful have been that the fact that I never understood anxiety and panic attacks. I basically thought anxiety was stress and panic attacks was not being able to handle the stress. But I certainly learned that it's way different thing than that. So part of this my medical events, like that kind of stuff wouldn't have happened without my current medical events for sure.
You become more empathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, that happens to me as well. And it's interesting. I've
Yeah.
seen people have panic attacks, and
Yeah.
it is, yeah, so strange and bizarre, and
Yeah.
they're all consuming. And as an outsider, it's just like, well,
Yeah.
what's going
Yeah.
on? Calm,
Yeah.
breathe, try and get them through.
Yeah.
I still don't understand it because I've never had one. I can't say that
Yeah.
I've had a panic attack. Okay, so it has been meaningful in many ways. Your relationships, how did they improve? What did you do something to improve that? Was there areas that were lacking and you needed to work on, and it made you work on them? How did that happen?
It might be kind of funny and embarrassing at the same time. My relationship with the old man, my father, took a full 360. We always had a good relationship, but I didn't see much of him. But this, like, we hang out every night now, and in kind of a hilarious way. Like, I've been a professional musician for over 20 years, and he's like been a hobby musician for maybe a little over 5. So, in a musical way, our paths didn't quite pass, or sorry, paths didn't quite cross. So, but during Bayman Gym, um, oh yeah, I got to point out that gym does not mean JIM. It's not a name. It's GYM, as in gymnasium.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I don't want people to think I'm off calling my dad Jim because I'm not. But so we in certain avenues, we kind of met in the middle because I had the music knowledge, but I couldn't operate my left hand very well. So we wound up jamming on all these songs, whereas Dad doesn't have, like, he's a hobby musician, so he doesn't have the same kind of music acumen that I have, but my hand doesn't move as well as it should. So we kind of learn from each other in that regard. I find that hilarious that I got a bit it took a stroke for me to start a band with my old man.
That is a bit hilarious. So your dad has got all the will and the uh, enthusiasm. You've got the
Yeah,
knowledge uh, and the foundation and the fundamentals.
yeah,
Your hand doesn't quite do what it was doing beforehand, as far as helping you deliver the notes. But your
yeah,
dad has got the ability to deliver the notes. So
yeah,
together, combine all your strengths, you get something
yeah.
pretty cool.
Yes, we get something.
Yeah.
Let's just say we get something.
All right. I love it. I love it. I love it. So what people who are listening, right? Do you have some words of wisdom, some philosophical genius that you can impart on our listeners, the people watching on YouTube, about how to navigate this whole crazy thing that they might be experiencing?
God no.
That's
I definitely.
we
I
should
just
pause.
know.
We should pause. That's probably one of the most profound statements I've ever heard, honestly.
I mean, the like, I think people figured out. Like, who am I to tell somebody how to, like, you know what to do? One of the things I hate the most is um, anything you need, I'm here for you. Like, that kind of puts the onus upon you to find out what you might need, and it
Uh-huh.
makes the person you're trying to help like think about think about it, which it puts them, it gives them a task in a way. Like if you want to do something for somebody, just do it. That's something I found really helpful. And also, I was surprised at when I was like in my recovery, um, the like people reaching out who to connect and to get offer their support, and because there was so much of that going on at at that time, I found it kind of hard to part. Like I was curious as to why people I didn't see on the day to day would be reaching out to do so, because I wanted to hear from my friends and family. So and there was a lot of people reaching out because they thought it was the right thing to do, but it was annoying. Like you only have so much time to kind of like like healthy time. Like there's a lot going on around that, like a lot. So to put somebody in the driver's seat and make them think about what they might be able to do or help, or even to acknowledge their messages when you're in a mess, and all you want to do is see your loved ones and your very close friends for their support, and then you get a deluge of people reaching out who want to connect with you at the same time. It was hugely annoying.
Yeah. The the guilt and I better call because I feel guilty because I haven't called people
Yeah,
difficult people uh, to navigate for sure. I have a friend of mine who has probably done the most for me as far as my friends goes. Probably
yeah,
not 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 that he's done the most, he doesn't, but he did something really amazing and unexpected, and it was great. Now, but for 3 years, he's been saying we should catch up.
yeah,
And I'm like, dude, Christine and I, we have adult children. We are free all the time.
yeah.
With a half a day's notice, we could drop everything. We could change all our plans and we could go wherever you needed to go. We could catch up. But you've been telling me that for 3 years and we
You
haven't.
don't need to catch up ever. Like if you were good buddies, you can pick right up where you left off as soon as you see the
Yeah,
person.
which we tend to do. The thing is,
Yeah,
I can't get him. He can't.
yeah.
He can't move beyond the thought of we should do something, go somewhere, spend some time together. He can't get past that and do the next stage, which is commit to a day and a time, etc.
Well, I
However,
guess he's a bit of a dick thing, is he?
no, he's a great guy. I don't know what his bloody problem is, but this is what
Mhm.
shits me the
But you
most.
said he's done all this stuff for you. I forgot about that. I
Yeah,
didn't mean to call him a dick when he's clearly such a you know,
he's very
a
compassionate,
smart man. Yeah,
very supportive, very helpful, and in his own way, he stepped up majorly,
yeah,
right? And I wasn't
yeah,
expecting it, and I didn't, and I'm really grateful for it. However,
yeah,
when he interacts with me, it's always lovely, except it's always
yeah,
on the phone. And
yeah,
we both have a desire to catch up in person with our
yeah,
spouses, with the kid, with all that kind of stuff. But he can't just commit to the date and time ever.
yeah,
And it's bizarre and strange. However, what shits me the most about him is that he's turned up to a funeral of
yeah,
somebody in my family,
yeah,
which is mental that in 3 years, I caught up with him at a funeral, which
yeah.
shouldn't be the place where we're catching up with people. And then the other thing was because I have a painting company, he got me to go over to his house and paint some walls.
Yeah.
That's not
Ha!
how I don't want to catch up with you like that, man. Get another get another painter and don't come to the funeral.
That makes perfect sense.
You know?
That's silly. Yeah, the way the way some people kind of see the world. It's
Yeah,
a little bit creepy sometimes.
I think it's a bit strange. Anyhow, um, how how have you sort of reshaped your purpose in life? What's life about now?
I don't think it's really changed
Okay,
what
good,
it's about.
good.
My work has changed, and the family life has changed only in um, kind of a practical sense because because of mobility and stuff like that. And a few of the things I used to really enjoy will not quite, it's much harder to get to them, but that's which is a bummer. But you know, I never had problems making friends, and I've had a lovely caregivers come and go, which has been great. Like they've all been best kind. So so it's fine. Yeah, I don't have hasn't changed greatly. I don't get to hang out in coffee shops as much as I used to. That's kind of my like coffee shops and bars. I haven't been able to do that as much. So I guess that's mostly how life's changed.
Yeah, I love coffee shops and bars.
Yeah, works
I,
for me.
I hear you, man. Mark, I really appreciate you reaching out. It is so nice to get to meet you and get to learn a little bit about your story. Thank you for joining me on the podcast, man.
Same. Appreciate it.
Well, that was Mark Bragg, a stroke survivor, musician, and proof that recovery is still possible even when the odds are stacked against you. 4 months unconscious, multiple failed shunts, and yet here he is, walking, talking, and creating again. If you found this conversation helpful, remember to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Leave a review, share it with somebody who needs to hear it, and if you'd like to go deeper, grab a copy of my book, The Unexpected Way That a Stroke Became the Best Thing That Happened. You can get it at recoveryafterstroke.com/book. And before we go, let me remind you about the Hansen Rehab Glove by Cyribo. It's one of the most practical tools I've come across for stroke survivors, helping you practice movement at home, support neuroplasticity, and regain independence. It's available in Australia from banksiatech.com.au and can be shipped internationally. I love being able to bring you solutions like this because your recovery is about more than surviving. It's about finding the right tools and supporting you to keep moving forward. Until next time, I'm Bill Gassiamas, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Importantly, we present many podcasts designed to give you an insight and understanding into the experiences of other individuals. Opinions and treatment protocols discussed during any podcast are the individual's own experience, and we do not necessarily share the same opinion, nor do we recommend any treatment protocol discussed. All content on this website and any linked blog, podcast, or video material controlled this website or content is created and produced for informational purposes only and is largely based on the personal experience of Bill Gassiamas. The content is intended to complement your medical treatment and support healing. It is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice and should not be relied on as health advice. The information is general and may not be suitable for your personal injuries, circumstances, or health objectives. Do not use our content as a standalone resource to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease for therapeutic purposes or as a substitute for the advice of a health professional. Never delay seeking advice or disregard the advice of a medical professional, your doctor, or your rehabilitation program based on our content. If you have any questions or concerns about your health or medical condition, please seek guidance from a doctor or other medical professional. If you are experiencing a health emergency or think you might be, call 000 if in Australia, or your local emergency number immediately for emergency assistance, or go to the nearest hospital emergency department. Medical information changes constantly. While we aim to provide current, quality information in our content, we do not provide any guarantees and assume no legal liability or responsibility for the accuracy, currency, or completeness of the content. If you choose to rely on any information within our content, you do so solely at your own risk. We are careful with links we provide. However, third-party links from our website are followed at your own risk, and we are not responsible for any information you find there.